Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us this evening. I'm just going to let everyone who's been in the waiting room trickle in, and we'll get started shortly. Yeah, everyone trickling in. It's great to have so many of you join us live. We're just going to give everyone here who's been waiting in the waiting room a moment to just trickle in, and we'll get started shortly. But thanks for being here with us. All right, that looks that looks pretty good. Awesome. We'll get started just so that we're staying relatively on schedule. It's great to see so many of you live, and thanks for joining us wherever you are in the world, and to talk about what we've released in the last month, and to share a few things that are coming around the corner, and give you all an update on all things Heidi for May 2025. So thanks for being here. Um, in terms of the agenda, we're going to keep it a very similar structure or same structure from last webinar. So I'll introduce myself and Theo, my co-host, shortly. We'll talk very quickly about stability and quality, as we always do at the start. We'll then go into the main event and talk through the Heidi highlights for the last month. We'll briefly touch on some hidden gems that we really want to encourage everyone to explore using in their clinical practice, and then we'll flag what conferences we're going to be at in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully see you all in real life. One piece of housekeeping. Similar to last webinar, we're going to direct all of your questions to my email, so ben@heidihealth.com. It'll be on all of the slides. We're going to try our best to answer a few questions coming through live this evening, but we will get back to everyone who sends through a question to us in the next 24 hours or so. So we just want to make sure that every question gets missed, and this way you can hold us accountable to getting the answers that you need. So yeah, please avoid using the chat feature in Zoom. That would be great. Awesome. I'd love to introduce Theo, and hand over to him just to introduce himself, and then we'll get started.
Hey everyone. Yeah, like Ben said, my name's Theo. I'm a product manager here at Heidi. I've been here for about a year now, focused mainly on our core scribing function, but I've been, all over the place. And I've led on most of the features that we'll discuss and take you through today. So, yeah, looking forward to happy to have you all here, and yeah, thanks for joining.
Awesome. Thanks, Theo. And for those who haven't met me before, my name's Ben. I'm a doctor. I work in emergency here in Melbourne, Australia, and I've come on to add to the kind of clinical team within Heidi to make sure that the features that Theo and his team are making and how we communicate them is making as much sense as possible to all of our users. So you'll see more and more of me on these webinars and the like. So yeah, great to be here with you tonight. As always, stability and quality is front of mind, and we did do quite a significant update last month on stability and quality, but we wanted to kind of start from the front with this again this evening. We're now doing over 1.3 million consultations a week supported by Heidi, and with that rapid growth does introduce some challenges in terms of maintaining the stability and quality of the outputs that Heidi's producing for you. We did make what we thought was a stepwise change in the first quarter of the year, where we really are able to make some inroads and improve this. But we are aware that in some instances, particularly for those longer consultations, or using the extended Scribe feature that we'll talk to, there can be somewhat of a delay in the speed of Heidi, and we get, we're very aware that it's not yet perfect. But we wanted to kind of take this opportunity to say that we're continuing to work on the stability and quality of the output for you all, and you should see continual improvement despite the really rapid growth that we're going through from a user number, which we're really excited about. So Main flag here is if you're having issues, if you feel that Heidi's slower than you think it should be, or think it normally is, we really value and appreciate when you let us know so we could do something about it. So yeah, please just continue to communicate what you think's happening with Heidi from a speed and stability point of view. That would be great. Um, on the topic of how we measure quality, just wanted to again draw everyone's attention to this little smiley face icon that is in the bottom right-hand corner of all of your Note out and Heidi output. Any feedback you give us is so well appreciated. I know Theo and his team really, rely on it to kind of understand what's working well, what could improve, and how to kind of make the best version of the product for everyone. So we encourage you to please log on, and when you're logged on and have a moment, give us the feedback, good, bad, indifferent. Please let us know what you think, so that we can continue to improve the product for you. You also have a feature roadmap on within the Heidi platform that you can go and vote and add your voice to other requests that users have made. We really do listen. We take it. We really appreciate the advice and the feedback you give. We are making a few changes to this in the next couple of weeks just to try and make it easier for you to give some feedback. Theo, do you want to just quickly mention what those changes might be so they don't catch people by surprise?
Yeah. It's nothing too dramatic. It's just that we found that the emoji in its current state is maybe slightly hidden. So we've just made it a bit clearer. What you'll also be able to do is when you provide feedback, rather than it just being for the overall session, you'll be able to break it down between transcript, note, or the specific document. And it just allows you to give more granular control. And yeah, like Ben said, I read every single one that comes through. So really important. We love the feedback, and we just want to make it as easy as possible.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. And final little update, I guess, for everyone. We mentioned it last month, so I wanted to kind of close the loop with you all here. For those of you on the Facebook community, you would have seen that we have actually closed that community down. As I mentioned last month, we found that it was really being used as an alternative support channel, which meant it was actually taking people longer to get the help that they need. And they were often inadvertently getting well-intentioned but inaccurate advice in terms of troubleshooting. So we made the tough decision to close that community down to really make sure it was clear to everyone how to get to support, by reporting an issue through the app, or emailing support@heidihealth.com. And that way that we're able to kind of direct everyone who needs our help, and get them the help they need as quickly as possible. So we'll continue to explore what an alternative community looks like on different platforms, so that you're able to collaborate with colleagues from right around the globe, and really look to kind of expand that collaboration that we see in the template community. But just wanted to close the loop, and again, just stress that this was really made to just make it as easy and as clear for all of our users to get support, and we didn't want some people getting stuck using Facebook or waiting for a reply there, which it isn't really what it was set up to do, and it's not really the way it kind of functions best. So yeah, that's the community update from our side of things. And now onto the main show. So I get to talk about what Theo and his team have done for us, which would be really exciting. We're going to start with Dictation Everywhere. So Theo, I might stop sharing my screen and let you demo this live, which would be great. But yeah, and maybe talk a little bit about this update for everyone.
Yeah. So Dictation Everywhere is one that we've had in the works for a while. It's a very heavily requested feature. Previously, as you're very aware, you were restricted to making edits to your outputs by typing, which can be cumbersome or sometimes even very difficult if you're on mobile, for example. So Dictation Everywhere, which in its first release won't be everywhere, it'll be almost everywhere. But it means you can now update or edit your clinical notes just by speaking, no typing needed whatsoever. It's built on a very medical specific dictation model. So it should cater to all the complex language that you use in your day-to-day situations. And it's currently in full rollout, so everyone should have access. Let me share my screen now. I'm just doing a sense check for that. Yeah, cool. Let me close this slightly. So to access the feature, you just have to click the button up here. And as you can see, it will start dictating inline. And you can see that as I said that, it started printing out live. I'm going to show you that it's actually quite good with medical terminology as well. So I'm just going to repeat this sentence up here. Patient presents with acute chest pain, comma, radiating to the left arm, comma, accompanied by shortness of breath and sweating, comma, suggesting a possible myocardial infarction. And as you can see, it printed it word for word, so that's good. You probably heard me saying comma. So we support all the common punctuation, so full stops, commas, colons, question marks, exclamation marks. When we first released, if any of you are in the Heidi Labs channel, you will have noted the numbers didn't initially work, they now work. So if you say something like 99, it's going to print 99 rather than the actual words 99, so that's good. And the final thing I want to show you is the commands. Let me start a new line. The patient went to sleep. New line. And as you can see, we have these like snippets that are saved to do actual things on the screen. So new line's an example of one. New paragraph will do the same thing, but just with a space. And we're going to add to this command list. So we're going to add things like remove last sentence, bold the headings, like lots of these like very advanced commands. So you mostly will never have to type again. And we believe the current release in its current format gets you about 90% of the way there. And we want to get you that final 10%. So yeah, this is kind of like the starting point, and we see this growing and growing and growing. And yeah, hope this helps.
Awesome. Thanks, Theo. And like you said, this is a really hotly requested feature. The main point really, I guess, is that we're able to mean that you can be totally hands-free while you're working and not need to type, which can sometimes be really distracting. Which is awesome. Cool. Next feature, just conscious of flicking back and forth too much, so we might just kind of talk to how we've improved context. Many of you will know already that context really is how we give Heidi that additional information and context on a patient's presentation that isn't necessarily verbalized in the consultation. So uploading a referral letter or previous consultation notes and recent investigations means that you don't have to spend time during the consult verbalizing all of these things out loud for Heidi to kind of be able to draw from that information and include it in the documentation after your session. So yeah, Theo, if you want to kind of chat to us about the improvements that we've made, and yeah, just maybe give us a little bit of insight into what works behind the scenes when you use the tick box.
Yeah. So yeah, like Ben just mentioned, previously when users were uploading files that included non-standard formats, so we saw this most commonly with checklists, tables, or anything handwritten. We basically used a model that performed very accurately with text, but these more complex structures did less so. So what we've done is we've had this checkbox, and basically when you upload a file, you can tell us, does this file include non-standard formats? And then Heidi knows to handle this differently. And basically, without going into too much depth, if the toggle's on, we route it to a model that's much more performant to deal with these complex structures. And if it's toggled off, then it's much more performant to do with text. So it gives you that flexibility and helps us accurately process and extract the meaningful information that you're uploading, which subsequently improves the precision and the reliability of your outputs. So this is in stage rollout, and it should be out by the end of next week.
Yeah, and that will be to all tiers of users, as well as will all of these changes that we roll out, just to be really clear. So we will kind of point out if if a feature's only for a pro or a together tier, but this will be rolled out for everyone, regardless of the kind of tier of usage as well, which is really exciting. We'll stay on context, and also talk to the fact that we've now added snippets in context. This was another one that was kind of hotly requested by a lot of you, and we're pleased that we've been able to roll this out. So, Theo, do you want to just quickly explain for those who might not be familiar with a snippet, what it is, and maybe how they might use it?
Yeah, so a snippet's basically a shortcut. It lets you write slash and then a single word, most likely, and then that will turn into a larger snippet of information. So yeah, like Ben said, we previously had this in notes and documents, but we received many a request to include this in the context as well. So yeah, snippets lets you quickly insert the repeatable information, whether it's standard exam notes, clinic-specific instructions, or details about a particular patient type. And instead of retyping the same content, you can save it once, reuse it instantly, and it makes things like pre-charting much faster and more consistent. We are as well in the process, kind of linked to the Dictation Everywhere project, of adding voice commands. So rather than having to write slash and then your snippet, you'll be able to speak to it just in the same way that we just showed Dictation Everywhere, and that will then print out the larger snippet of information. So that's currently in the works as well, probably 2 weeks out.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. And yeah, this has been super helpful. And I've got a lot of friends and colleagues using this for their ward rounds. When they're seeing a whole bunch of patients, they can give Heidi that context of the fact that it's a ward round note, and the ward and the team and things like that they're on. Saves them a lot of duplication, which we hope benefits you all with this new feature in context. Final update that we might just talk to before we jump back into a live demo is the new session summary in the header. Theo, do you want to just talk everyone through this feature and how they can importantly edit it if needed?
Yeah, so previously we just had one input field. It combined the patient name as well as the session summary, which obviously caused confusion and conflation, and it was hard to distinguish between the patient and the content within the session itself. So what we've done is we've created two input fields. The session summary automatically generates based on the context of your session, but it's fully editable. So if you click into where you can see the fever, cough, COVID-19, that will open up a modal and you can edit the session summary yourself. But we find that most of the time people just leave it as it is. It's supposed to be used as directional markers to help you quickly discern which session you're referencing when you're moving through your session list. But what it also does is we're hoping it encourages users to use the patient linking text field for what we made it for. And that's because the linked patient outputs that I'm sure many of you have been requesting, which is essentially bringing in previous sessions linked to the same patient profile. That is something we're currently working on as well, and it should be out in the next week or so.
We might just kind of show everyone how to link patients when we demo on the next slide. Actually, that was probably a good thought to do live. We didn't do it in the first webinar, but as Theo mentioned, linking patients, really the way to think about that is creating a patient profile where you can then reference multiple sessions previously. And yeah, this is the first step, correct me if I'm wrong, Theo, to kind of being able to give Heidi that context to previous sessions so that you don't have to kind of manually move a previous note into context, which is really exciting, and we hope will really level up the performance for all of your patients that are kind of coming back to you semi-regularly. Awesome. So let's go through improved transcription. I'm going to stop my share there and we'll demo this one live. So this was a feature that we flagged last month that's still in a staged rollout because it is a pretty significant change to the user interface. You'll see it on all tiers, as I mentioned before. And yeah, Theo, once you're up and running, do you want to tell us a little bit about why we made this change, what people can expect, and kind of what the benefits to this new update are?
Yeah, for sure. So with the current transcription approach, users often can tell whether it was actually working properly, which led to uncertainty and mistrust in whether or not it was functioning as expected as well, and whether or not it was picking up the audio correctly. So what we've done is we've introduced our version of live transcription to make this visible in real time. The way we've implemented it is it detects the natural pauses in speech in order to chunk and therefore display the transcript as it's happening, which gives you live feedback without sacrificing accuracy too much. An additional change we've made to the transcript is completely on the back end, but we're hoping that it significantly reduces the transcript processing going idle if you might switch tabs or your computer locks due to inactivity. And this means that it should prevent sessions from ever being cut off unexpectedly, or your transcripts being lost until they're recovered. So basically a bunch of improvements that we're making, which should hopefully drive down any transcript related worries. But let me jump into a demo quickly.
I think this was a quite a common support request too, for people, swapping tabs and the transcript failing, or their iPad potentially going to sleep mid-consultation. So we're really hopeful that you'll see a really meaningful improvement in that. But I'll let you demo, and I'll.
Yeah. So this is live transcription. You can see up here that it will say listening. It's probably not going to chunk until it detects that I stop talking. So I'm just going to give it a moment after this sentence end. Yep. And then you can see I think in a standard patient clinician interaction, it would normally chunk in much smaller paragraphs than this. But as you can see, it comes in live. I'm going to stop again so we can see it come in. Yep. And the other good thing is it provides timestamps, which I know you guys have been requesting like crazy, so that's another positive. But yeah, I think that's everything for live transcription. It's a relatively large change, but it shouldn't change the workflow too much. You'll have complete control over whether you want to split it, so you can see the note and you can still type into the context while the transcript's screening out, or if you just want the transcript to take over the entire screen like it does currently. Yeah, we're building it so it's pretty much fully flexible for you guys to use as you wish.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks, mate. And while I've got you with a demo screen live, do you maybe want to just talk or quickly demo how you link a patient session or create that, just to kind of close the loop on that last point?
Yeah, so it's super simple. You just go up here. You can see I've created loads of myself. But if I click one, that's it. That's linked. You can go in and unlink it just by clicking this button up here. or you can edit the patient profile by clicking here. And like we were alluding to, once it's linked, the future state will be that in your context window, you'll be able to click into the previous sessions and say, these are the ones I want to include. And then from that point onwards, you'll be able to create documents and notes that use the information from these previous sessions. So yeah, another one we're
Awesome.
very excited about.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. I'll jump back on and share my screen. I've got a question in live that I'll just mention now. So thank you for all of you who are sending in questions in. First question that's come through a couple of times that I can see is, are we going to continue to support the free tier in the future? So short answer is yes. Longer answer is we will always have a version of free available for all of our users. We're a really big believer that it's really important to have a tool that you can access that works for you kind of consistently every time. And we're not looking to make any changes to that free offering or limit the amount of sessions people can do or anything like that. So that will remain a feature. What we've tried to do with the pro users, so those 10 free pro users a month, is really to just allow you to explore the product and see the different features and experience them as we roll them out, and see if they're potentially worth then investing in getting access to those features all the time with pros. So yeah, so free is not going anywhere. Please don't worry about that. And we'll continue to roll out all of these changes to free. They won't be left behind. We're keen to make sure that the user interface and everything that we're kind of talking to will look the same at every tier. And as you saw in Theo's screen there, those pro actions in free will just be marked with a little orange purple icon, so that it makes it really easy to see what's what. We'll take some more questions in a little bit, but that one was coming up quickly, quite a lot. So cool. Let's talk about the widget and the Chrome extension updates, Theo. What can you tell us about what's happened there?
Yeah. So previously, I think the biggest worry about the widget was that it lacked some of the feature parity with the web version, which meant that although it was very impactful and the compact experience is great, it was limiting some of the workflows that our users were looking to do. So we've expanded the widget functionality to bring it in line with the web. You can now use all the key features. So Ask Heidi, language selection, brain, which we're now calling Scribe, regenerate, session duration, consent status, and pause. So all of these are now directly in the widget. Full rollout. So if you want to go and download the widget again, you'll have access to all these features. We've also added the ability to turn off magic paste in the Chrome extension. Again, just giving you full control over how you want to use it. We know that some users were finding it a bit cumbersome and wanted to turn it off, so we've added that in as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, super excited to kind of see people get kind of the full version, full suite of features using both the widget and the Chrome extension, which yeah, we hope you enjoy, and please continue to give us feedback on those features if you're one of our users who uses the widget or the extension. The next change is one that we've again a pretty significant change that we flagged last month, and it's still being rolled out to all of our users. So if you haven't seen this, it will be coming soon across all tiers, so including the free version. So many of you will have been really familiar with the left and right brain and it, comfortable with what that meant. But we wanted to make it as intuitive for people on the first consultation that they do complete what each feature did. So we've moved from brain to Scribe, and left brain and right brain now become standard and extended Scribe. What that will mean is, for those of you who use left brain, that will become kind of your standard Scribe. That will be, great for the vast majority of session types and consultation types. that you'll use. The output will be a little bit faster as well, which is great, and yeah, it will be very, very similar to kind of the left brain feature that you've used previously. Extended Scribe will be for those consultations where you're allowing Heidi to kind of infer things from the transcript and the context that haven't been said explicitly. So fantastic for longer mental health consultations. It's probably the most common use case, but also really great for pediatric consultations and things like that. You will notice that the extended Scribe output might take a little bit longer to generate because it is not as literal a transcript as the standard Scribe, and that will be a pro action. So again, that little purple lightning bolt for those in the free tier. So you'll get 10 of those pro actions a month to kind of explore extended Scribe in free, and for our pro and users and above, you'll be able to use extended Scribe as much as you like. Importantly, you'll be able to toggle between these on from session to session, so you can move between the two as sees fit. And what I'll do, Theo, is I'll just reintroduce the expansion of voice, quickly set the scene, and then we can demo both Scribe and voice at the same time. So to continue on making these features as intuitive as possible for new users, but also to just allow all users to kind of be really clear on kind of what the instruction is. We've kept the 4 levels of depth in terms of brief, Goldilocks, super deep, detailed and super detailed. But we've introduced this voice toggle that allows you to kind of customize those outputs for you. So if you want to increase or reduce the level of detail, if you want to turn bullet points on or off, include patient quotes or abbreviations, you'll have the ability to kind of toggle that. So for instance, even if you're in brief, you might still not want dot points, so you can toggle dot points off to kind of get the output as close to what you like as we can. So I'll stop talking and I'll let Theo kind of demo that. But yeah, it's been a really big change, and we know that it's going to rock the boat for our existing users, but we're hoping that it'll be a relatively quick transition in terms of getting comfortable with this, and hopefully we'll make it much more intuitive longer term for everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben. So the voice control that we've added sits up here. And as you can see, the Scribe is what Brain used to be. And the voice, you still have access to the presets. So if you like Brief or you like Goldilocks or any of the others, you still have access to those. But what you also can do is create your own custom voice presets. So you can change the level of detail. You can change whether or not you want bullet points, quotes, or abbreviations. So as you can see, here's one that I've made previously. It's got a very high level of detail, no bullet points. It relies quite heavily on quotes, and it's got 0 abbreviations as well. So you can see the length of it. You can see that it's not in bullet point format. You can see that it relies heavily on quotes. So there's one quote. Here's another one. And you can see that there are no abbreviations. Now, if you want to make a change to this, so let's say I want to use the other Scribe. It was actually quite a simple session. I just want something quick. Let's say you want low level of detail, bullet points. Maybe you don't want quotes this time, and maybe you want to use abbreviations. So you can see the difference in the output based on these instructions. So you can see the patient quoting is very minimal. The format is very line by line. It's more bullet point structure. The abbreviations are quite present. You can see them here. And the level of detail is very minimal. So it is directional because there will be your templates that have predefined formatting. And this isn't supposed to override your templates. Your templates are supposed to come first. We don't want to mess any of those up. So if there is a conflict, it will be the template that's being listened to. However, it hopefully gives you a bit more control about the final output. And what you can do as well is you can create these custom presets and then you can save them as default. So they're applied to all your outputs going forward. And this kind of sets the benchmark for more personalization going forward. And actually, we envision in the long run, we'll probably link these to the templates themselves so that everything's matched up. But to begin with, we wanted to give these global preferences to try and basically give you control over how your outputs looked and made to sound more like you as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Theo. I think that was a really important point to just kind of go back and highlight again in the fact that the templates do trump these voice and scribe controls. So I've got a little bit of feedback from some users when they're making this transition that the changes to their voice setting aren't, reflective in their note. And then we go into the note template and we find that they're very explicitly said to perhaps use full sentences or use patient quotes in a section, and that will override these scribe controls. So template is still kind of number one, but as Theo mentioned, this is what we hope an additional layer to give you more control for your outputs. So please give us lots of feedback on this one. We know it's been a big change, but we're really hopeful that it will be a really meaningful change and make it much more intuitive for you to get the output that you want faster, which is the main thing always. Awesome. So I might just pause there because that takes us to the end of what's out in general availability. Heidi Labs is a preference feature that you can toggle on and off, and what Heidi Labs will do is it will give you an earlier look at features as they get released into general availability, but also into beta. So it's something that we really encourage you if you're curious about what we're doing. Turning on Heidi Labs is a great way to kind of see and be one of the first to kind of see the updates that we're rolling out. We get through quite a few each month, so you'll see a lot coming through. The thing that I would just flag with everyone is that you're able to toggle this on and off. So if you're on a busy clinic day, and you just kind of want to only show what's in general availability and potentially not have any beta features kind of pop up whilst you're in clinic, you can toggle this off and then toggle it back on at a later date. So try and use your discretion as to when's appropriate to have this toggled on, and don't worry about if you want to turn it off just for those busier moments, so that you get the most stable and reliable product, then do that as well. But we're really excited to see how many people have this turned on and are excited about what we're releasing. So bear that in mind. Cool. So let's talk about what's out in beta at the moment. And we got some feedback a few months ago that the language we were using about beta features and also alpha features wasn't consistent and clear. So we've made a real effort, both internally and externally, to tidy up the way we talk about features. And just wanted to refresh everyone's memory that this beta logo, that if you see that beta logo, what that means is that a feature is in beta, means it's relatively new. What happens is Theo and his team test these features really, really rigorously internally, but given the scale and scope of Heidi's user base around the world, we can't test every outcome internally. We do need to kind of release it into the wild, so to speak. So that does mean that features in beta will be rapidly evolving. We do monitor them closely and iterate on user feedback. And we do really appreciate that early user feedback so that we can kind of make those changes as quickly as possible. beta doesn't mean that we haven't tested things internally, and we do everything we can before we release a feature in beta. But certainly, we just have that extra label there so that you're aware that this is a newer feature, and one that we might be, might be evolving more quickly than a feature in general availability. So, yeah, that's what beta is. Um, and in terms of some of the features that are on, so this will be for our Together users. You'll now be able to add assistants to your team, and that will be for free as well, in addition to those additional administrator seats that you can have. So, Theo, do you want to maybe explain what this will allow you to do from a clinic level, and what the kind of specific use cases are for the assistant seat?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Ben. So let me share my screen. This demo won't go into too much depth, but essentially previously you were limited to either an admin seat or a clinician seat. Admin had full control over the team, whereas clinician was your clinician and a standard account, standard pro user. Whereas now what you can add is an assistant role. So assistant roles are, as you can see, fully free. They cost nothing, and it's for support staff who um, need to help you with documentation, session management, but they won't be able to modify the core note itself. So they'll be able to enter your sessions. They'll be able to add context for you. They'll be able to create sessions so they can organize the schedule. But any previous sessions where the notes already been generated, they won't be able to access that. Same with the transcript, but they will be able to create further documents and artifacts down the line from your core note. So it's to give them as much access as possible to help with support, but without giving them too much access, if that makes sense. And these roles will expand, so we'll have I think 2 more roles coming relatively soon. And it means that you've got much more control over the privileges of your colleagues within your clinic.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's the main thing. We want to make sure that the clinical note is kind of protected, and that core generation of the initial note from the transcript is that primary clinical action that we want the clinical users to have full confidence that the note that they have reviewed and approved and generated is the note that stays in the file. But to give the people supporting you as much the ability to kind of improve that. Theo, your screen wasn't on during that. Do you want to just quickly demo that assistant seat, or have you not got it up? Here we go. Perfect.
Apologies.
That's all good.
Sorry. It said it was sharing. That's strange.
That's all good.
So the way to do this is to it's the same as your team page currently. Whereas before you'd click into this add team member and it would be restricted just to add a team member because there's only one role that you could add. You can now add admin, clinician, or assistant. And assistant's the role that I was just talking about that is the free one. It lets them help with support information, but doesn't let them modify the core session note. So yeah, apologies. I thought I was sharing.
No, that's all good. That's all good. Thanks, mate. I'll just jump back on and quickly reshare my screen. Cool. Next feature that's in beta that we're really excited about, we know is a hotly requested feature, is coding. So SNOMED entered beta last month, and we demoed that then. It's still in beta at the moment, but we've just released ICD-10 codes into beta as well, which we're really excited about, and we'll get Theo to demo. I just want to front run the emails that will flood in with different code set requests. Please let us know if there's a particular code set that you'd like us to include. We do have a list of code sets that we're going to roll out for all of the different regions that Heidi operates in. We're just being really deliberate in making sure that the code sets we release, we release them well, and that they're working and things like that. So there's a huge amount of work going into doing this, rolling out coding more broadly. And as Theo will show you shortly, coding will initially be slightly manual process in terms of there'll be a few clicks to kind of get the codes into your note, and that will become increasingly automated in time as well as we kind of understand how people are using the coding feature in their note. So yeah, that kind of early beta data will be really helpful in making it a more automated process in the future. But I won't steal your thunder any more than that, Theo. I'll stop sharing. I'll let you demo the ICD-10 codes and talk a little bit about it.
Okay, gonna double check that I'm actually sharing this time. Yep, good. So like Ben mentioned, it's still in beta, but for those of you who do have access, you'll need to come into your memory section and check your clinical coding options here. And as you can see, I can toggle on both SNOMED and ICD-10. So let me jump into the session itself. So the session works as normal. You'd have your patient-clinician interaction, the transcript, context, and note all appear as they do. For those that have codes associated to the session, you'll see this notification up here. And what you can do is click into it, and it'll list out the highly relevant, the medium relevance, or low relevance if they exist, the codes that exist. So, and then you have a few options. So either you can just confirm all of them, or you can go more granular and choose which ones you'd like to include. So, for example, let's say I want to include this one. Let's include this one. You can see it adds it to the bottom there. Or SNOMED and ICD-10, you can filter between them. You can also decide that I just want to look at the billable ones. So again, maybe we just toggle on billable and click another one. And all it does is append it to the bottom of your documentations, your outputs, and then anywhere that you send it on from there, it's going to be correctly categorized within the output itself. If you realize that a code is missing, you can do two things. You can either click replace, which will just transfer one code in for the other, or you can click add new code. So let's say I realize that one is missing to do with the heart. Transplantation of heart. Yeah, that's it. Let's add it in. And yeah, it's supposed to be, again, directional, so please check these, but we've actually found it to be very, very accurate, so that's good. And yeah, it gives you full control about what codes you want to include in your outputs.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. We're hopeful that will continue to expand as a feature, and as I mentioned, it's one of the most requested features that we get from both individual users and enterprise kind of users as well. So it's really exciting to see these starting to be released into beta. Just share my screen again. And last but certainly not least, we wanted to spend a little bit of time on alpha. So alpha is a specific early release of features with select partner clinics that help us develop a feature before it's ready for beta. So not all features go into alpha. We're pretty selective in terms of which features go into alpha, but we're also probably the most excited about those features that go into alpha. For those of you who might be interested in adding your clinic to the waitlist to join an alpha, please just send me an email to ben@heidihealth.com. I've got curating a wait list that we will be in touch with you when we're looking to expand our alpha cohort. But really exciting. You'll get a product manager, someone from Theo's team will be working with your clinic specifically to kind of really get into the weeds of the feedback and understand what is working and what is not working, and trying to curate a really a great product feature for the rest of Heidi users. So if you're interested in product and you want to be involved, please bear that in mind. But as we announced last month, calls are now in alpha, which we're really excited about. I'll let Theo talk about what we're starting with, and then we'll go from there. Don't want to steal your thunder on this one, Theo.
Yeah. So calls are still in, I mean, alpha kind of explains it. They're still very early doors, but we are moving extremely quickly. So I don't have a live demo to show. But yeah, I mean, calls, we strongly believe that healthcare practices are burdened by the high volume and potentially manual nature of these essential calls. It consumes significant staff time, both clinical and administrative, which drives up operational costs and most importantly limits patient throughput. And actually, based on our internal research, we found that 33% of sessions required some kind of follow-up call with the patient. So yeah, we're building calls. Heidi will be able to schedule appointments, answer questions about the clinic, and hand over to a human where necessary. And maybe potentially we'll try and get an actual demo for you next time, because this one is very interesting and yeah, probably my favorite. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's super cool, and we're all really excited to see it come out. And I think the thing that we're most excited about is as well as the initial inbound calls. Talking, rolling out calls as a way to help you follow up your patients post clinic, potentially further on down the line as well, and making sure that we're helping you kind of deliver the best care for your patients, and leveraging all of that rich context in the patient file to add to your ability to care for your patients, which is going to be really cool. Before we jump into hidden gems, I might just pause briefly. I'm conscious we don't have a whole heap of time, but I've had a few questions come through about a few of the things we've spoken about, Theo. So I might just pick your brain on one or two things now. In terms of live transcription, I had a couple of people send through emails asking if, rather than seeing the transcript, would they be able to potentially see the note kind of develop in real time? I'll let you answer maybe the thinking behind the live transcription, and if that's something that we could do in the future.
Yeah, I mean, conceptually, it's a great idea. The reason we started with live transcription is because once it streams out, it doesn't change from that point backwards. Whereas the note itself will iterate over time. So if you include a piece of transcript right at the very end that infers the beginning of that note, then it will update to reflect that. And it just means the user experience might be a little bit strange. But I agree, conceptually, I think it's a great idea. So one that we'll look at in the future for sure. But right now we're going to focus on live transcription.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, mate. Cool. We'll get through hidden gems and see if we've got time for one or two more questions. I'm conscious of everyone's time. We make sure we won't go over. But hidden gems really is our section where we get to kind of highlight a feature that we think might be underutilized, or bring something to your attention that's not necessarily new, but we think is really powerful. And for me, the one that really stands out is the Ask Heidi feature, specifically in context. So what this allows you to do is, when you've uploaded your previous notes or new investigations and results into context, rather than just giving it that to Heidi to use to generate your output. You can use the Ask Heidi feature to potentially summarize those outputs. And that can be super helpful. I know my brain kind of goes to mush halfway through a long clinic. Lots of patients have similar presentations. So Ask Heidi is a feature that I use to kind of get me out of trouble and remind me what a patient's presenting with and allow me to kind of have a bit more targeted, structured consultation. I've got a few friends and colleagues who are surgeons. They use it to prep their list and just to kind of surface all of those key features that they want to know about a patient before they go in and saves them a fair bit of time on their days off before they go into theatre. And you could certainly also use it for MDMs or kind of unit meetings to summarize, all of the discussion and patient output. So I'll just quickly stop sharing and bring up my Heidi screen. Give me 30 seconds. So just checking that you can now see Heidi. Is that right, Theo? Yeah, perfect. Thanks, mate. Cool. So in terms of new sessions where this would come into effect, if I just go into context and I upload, this is just a demo of a pathology report and referral. And I'm just going to ask Heidi, please give me a two-line summary. This patient's results. At the moment, it's important to kind of flag you only get one question, but we'll be hoping to expand this feature here. But in terms of the output, this patient's come into clinic, and I can see pretty quickly that they've come back with a positive margins on melanoma and also positive margins on a BCC. So again, I find it really helpful. It can get through lots of text much faster than I could read it, and it's a really amazing feature in terms of highlighting and surfacing the key points to each feature. So we'd love to hear how you're using Ask Heidi. As I mentioned, it's a feature that we're looking to expand and really kind of to bring you as much power and Heidi magic to your sessions. So please let us know how you're using it because it's really helpful for us to kind of make those additional improvements as time goes on. Going back to the screen. Sorry. Just having some technical difficulties with Zoom. Awesome. So yeah, that's the hidden gem for the month. We love seeing all of our users online, and it's actually amazing to see how many different locations people are tuning in from this evening or this afternoon, where depending on where you're at. But you will be able to see us in the flesh. So in North America and Europe will be a number of conferences over the next couple of weeks. And the little maple leaf in the corner is just to denote that we're also doing a Canadian roadshow. So we'll be in 7 cities and we'll be hosting meetups in each city. We would love to hear from any of our Canadian users. Please come down, have a drink with us, tell us how you're using Heidi. It's going to be relatively informal. There's going to be no kind of formal kind of sales pitch. Really, the point is just to meet you in person, hear about what you love about Heidi, but also what you'd like to see in Heidi in the future and how we can help support you in your practice. So there'll be lots of emails for all our Canadian users about with information on that. But just wanted to highlight that's happening in the next couple of weeks. So that'll be really exciting to kind of get to meet you all in person. We'll wrap up. We've got 2 minutes, so I'm going to try my best and get to one, maybe two more questions in that time. And then, as I said, please be reassured I'll get back to every question in the next 24 hours or so. I'm watching them roll in. I might extend it out to 48 hours, just given the number of them, but that'll be my job first thing in the morning to get back to you. So bear with us. And had a couple of questions, Theo, about when asking for support, kind of if you go into support and say you're having issues with a session, what does that allow us to see in terms of accessing the consult information or the session information? From a medical legal point of view, people are a little bit unsure in terms of what we can see from our end, maybe at baseline, and then when they ask for help. Do you mind just explaining how that all works?
Yeah, for sure. So we're completely compliant in all our regions that we operate in. So any request into support doesn't allow us to immediately see anything. It's only if the access is required to help the specific user with their question, do we then almost like allow us to see the information just in terms of helping the user. And that's everything when that happens, when that process happens, is audited, it's tracked, and that's to remain compliant with the bodies that we that we have to be compliant to operate in the regions that we do. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And just to highlight, if you ask for support with one particular session, that doesn't give you access to all of your sessions. It's just that one specific session. So, yeah, there's been a few questions kind of similarly related to support and that, and I'm going to try and summarize a few of them in one question for you just because of time. But a lot of people talking about if they are deleting sessions at the moment because they're not wanting, they delete maybe after a week or at the end of each day they delete their data. How does that affect their ability to link sessions and maybe access support retrospectively? And twofold question.
Yeah. So if you delete the session, it's no longer linked, and there is then no way for us to get access to the session itself. Um, Again, this is a compliance requirement. If you say you want to delete your session, we've got to give you that control, and we've got to let you manage your own data. To counter that, in terms of the linked patient, we are going to build a feature, kind of an enabler to this, to the linking patients, which will let you delete everything in the session bar the core note information, such that we can then use it as history for sequential sessions. Additionally, we're going to build this feature agnostic to the EHR that you work with. So rather than pulling the patients from linked sessions within Heidi, you'll be able to pull the information from an integrated EHR. So those are the two workarounds that we see to still being able to delete your sessions. But if you delete your session and then you contact support, unfortunately, that's the session is gone, and that's up to you guys to control.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the main call out is that you'll remain completely in control of your data and when it's deleted. I think the call out is as we continue to roll out more and more of these features and try and give Heidi more functionality, deleting your sessions might have some trade-offs in terms of the usability of those features. But as we integrate more and there'll be some workarounds to that. But certainly if you're seeing a few of these features and your current practice is to delete your session data kind of daily or weekly, it might be worth reconsidering if you delete those sessions. If, for instance, you're expecting a patient to follow up in the next week or two, that you will always be in control of when you can do that. And really, we're just pointing out the different trade-offs with each of those decisions. So hopefully that answers several questions that have come through. So thank you all for sending them through. I'm conscious we've gone a couple of minutes over time, so we're going to leave it there. Theo, thank you for joining me quite early in the morning in Melbourne, and it's really great to have a product voice in these and kind of give us a under the hood version of explanation of all of these new features. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining us online, and we'll see you next month for the next edition of Heidi Highlights. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.